Okay, so here we are with another classic Batman TV series unboxing, and as we can see from the logo, this is from the Batman 66 comic book, and this is Lord Deathman. I've been teasing this guy for a while. I've been saving him for last out of the recent batch of Batman classic TV series figures that I've gotten. Don't worry, there's still a few more of these that I want to get, so it's not going to be the last of this series, but it's the last of the ones that I currently have. So I've got to order some more. I know I want to get the Joker and the Riddler from the New Adventures of Batman, and there's the Bat Robot. There's Joker Man. There's the basic vanilla Riddler. I would like to get the boxing variants of the Riddler and Batman, the gas mask variants of Batman and Robin, and I still need to get the Surf's Up Joker under version of Batman. Although we do have the Joker, so we'll probably talk about him in a future episode. But yeah, I got him loose, so there's no unboxing to do for him. But I will still cover that figure in some way or another. So this is Lord Deathman. And he has a rather interesting history. Now, again, as I mentioned, this is a figure that's based on the Batman 66 comic book, which was the comic book that DC did based on the classic TV series. Now, Lord Deathman, while he was not a character that ever appeared on the original TV series, he does have, as I said, an interesting history, which has a lot of interesting connections to the television series. So we're going to get into that. So he first appeared in an issue of Batman, and I had the issue pulled up. Yeah, here we go. We can see the cover here on my phone. And that was Batman number 180. It was written by Robert Kaniger. The interiors were illustrated by Gil Kane. The cover was illustrated by Gil Kane. The interiors were illustrated by longtime Batman journeyman Sheldon Moldoff, and we can see the villain, then known as Deathman, fighting with Batman and Robin over their open grave, and Robin taking a tumble into it. But yeah, that's a Gil Kane cover. He did a really good job with that one. So Deathman was just a one-shot villain. The gimmick of this guy was that he faked his own death through yoga, breathing techniques, was able to appear dead when he was actually alive, and returned to haunt Batman. And at the end of the story, he dies because he gets struck by lightning. So that's pretty much that. And that might have been it for Deathman, but much like the character in the comic book, Deathman was resurrected, and he came back in an unusual form, because in Japan, the Batman television series was becoming quite popular, and they decided they wanted to do their own manga based on Batman. So some of the manga stories were adaptations of previously published comic books, and one of the ones that they decided to adapt was the episode with Deathman. So they renamed the character as Lord Deathman, so a little more formal there, and gave him this cool cape, to make him look a little more dramatic, I suppose. And honestly, I kind of feel like the costume that Deathman had kind of lent itself to manga. You oftentimes will see costumes kind of similar to this in manga, and so it's probably no wonder that they decided to snatch him up and use him with that. And that might have been it for Deathman. We might not have seen him again, except for the fact that Chip Kidd, the graphic designer, the guy who designed the Jurassic Park logo, he designed the original book cover of the novel of Jurassic Park. Chip Kidd, huge Batman fan, has done a lot of work with the character, a lot of graphic design on various covers of novels, and a lot of nonfiction Batman books this guy worked on. I think his first nonfiction work of Batman was Batman Collected, in which he had a lot of artfully done photographs of his own collection of Batman memorabilia. But he himself was fascinated by this Japanese Batman comic, this Bat manga, if you will. That's actually what he called his book that reprinted a lot of this stuff. He art directed it, and hand selected the stories and everything. So Lord Deathman was one of the stories that appeared in that, and that might have been it for Lord Deathman, except for it was among the readers of that particular collection were a person named Grant Morrison, and you might recognize that name. They're one of the more influential writers of Batman of the past 20 years or so. Wrote Batman in their JLA series, and then wrote Batman in his own series. Batman was responsible for the Batman R.I.P. storyline, and Morrison brought Lord Deathman into the main DC continuity by introducing Lord Deathman into the Batman Incorporated storyline as a Japanese crime boss who Batman had tangled with before. And then the original Bat manga story was adapted into an episode of the Brave and the Bold cartoon. Well, a segment on the episode of the Brave and the Bold cartoon. That would have been Batman's Strangest Cases, that episode, if you want to hunt that down on streaming. So then he had an animated appearance under his belt. And, since the character was, appearing in all this stuff, why not go ahead and put him in the Batman 1966 comic book? And this is definitely based on his appearance in that. And it looks very similar to the way that Michael Allred drew him on the cover, which, on the back here, they just got the same just kind of generic cast photo that they've had on the Batman 66 figures so far. I would like to point out the Von Craig Batgirl sitting down there. So, she looks good. So, anyway, let's go ahead and open up Lord Deathman. And this is one that the adhesive isn't quite as powerful. So that's popped off rather easily. And we'll take out a little plastic insert. Now he's got a cape that it looks like it's held onto his neck with like a superpowers type cape clasp. Let me get my X-Acto knife here. And I'm going to go ahead and cut the dreaded plastic tabs. Try to get those out before they fall on the floor. Thankfully, his cape caught most of them. And his cape is taped into the package, and I don't like that. So, hopefully I can get it out without too much residue sticking to it. Try to adhere that to the inside of the package. And what I'm going to try to do is I'm actually going to pull his cape off of the figure and pull it through the opening that way, because I think that'll be easier than pulling the whole cape through the opening just to pull the neck piece. Now, I don't have the Riddler yet, but in looking over this figure, I was kind of suspicious that this figure is actually a repaint, at least from the neck down, of the Riddler. And like I said, I don't have the Riddler figure yet, but I am familiar enough with the Riddler's costume as he appeared on the television show that I feel like I can say, at least make an educated guess and say that this figure is mostly a repaint of the Riddler, just with a new head sculpt and the added cape. And let's go ahead and get his accessory out. And he comes with a katana sword. It's taped in there. And it does seem like it's kind of a somewhat fluby material, like Mcfarlane bladed weapons are often made out of. Not as fluby as some that I've had, but still kind of fluby. So we're going to set his katana aside for now. And Lord Deathman has a pretty basic, yet at the same time, detailed paint scheme. So mostly he's entirely in black, but he does have some dark blue gloves a dark blue belt with a white buckle, and then, of course, the white skeleton print over the rest of the suit. And without the cape, he does look very much like Deathman as he appeared when Gil Kane drew him on the cover of that issue. Not necessarily. Gil Kane's version looked a little different from Sheldon Moldoff's version in the actual comic. So little bit, mainly like the design of the mask. So let's go over his articulation a little bit while we got the tape off. So you can look up about that far. So good range of motion as far as looking up, as far as these figures go. You can look down about that far. Head can kind of quizzically tilt from side to side, and that's a little better than most of the figures in this line that I've seen so far. He's actually got some really good articulation on the neck, so that's good. Arms move up about that far. Rest of the sides go down about that far, and of course they rotate all the way around. But when you put them up all the way, just because of the way that his shoulders are kind of slanted there, you see that's about as high up this way as it'll go. So he does have elbow articulation, just a single joint at the elbow right there, and that joint does rotate all the way around, although it rotates at kind of a slant because, again, the joint is at kind of a slant. But he wouldn't bend his elbow back that way anyway. That's not realistic. So. And then, of course, the wrists rotate all the way around. So there's that. Legs move up about that far. So good range of motion at the hips. Knees bend down about that far. So not the best articulation at the knees, but still pretty good. And then, of course, the knees rotate all the way around. But again, it's at kind of a slant. So that's about the best you can get out of that, which is an unnatural position anyway. And then there's absolutely no articulation from the knees down. There's no ankle articulation, no fancy showing off toe articulation. The legs just move this way and that, like an old school action figure. So you can't do the splits. So let's go ahead and gear him up. And of course, the two accessories he comes with is the cape, which just kind of clips on at the shoulders. And like I said, this is very similar to the clips that you'd have on a Superpowers figure. And like the Mcfarlane Superpowers figure, it's not quite as snug as what you get on Kenner. So it should hold on pretty well, though. If a kid is playing with this, I think it will hold on pretty well. And it's made out of the same type of material that we're used to seeing on these Mcfarlane Batman figures. It's kind of shiny, satiny, chintzy material. It doesn't have any kind of stretch or give to it. It's very light, very flowy. So yeah, so there's that. And let's go ahead and put the katana sword in his hand. So yeah, it makes sense that they would reuse the Riddler for this particular figure because the Riddler does have a pretty basic bodysuit design, which of course Lord Deathman has. But I'm sure this is the Riddler because he has the same sort of thick belt that the Riddler has, and they've just kind of got the Lord Deathman belt kind of painted over it. But you can see, even on the camera, you can see how this is a wide Riddler belt that they just kind of painted this other belt on top of it. So this a wide Riddler belt with a blue stripe around it, and then a white kind of square painted onto that to be the buckle. So pretty simple as far as that goes. He's got the trunks over the tights, which, the way they did the Riddler suit on that is he had a pair of tights and then he had like a leotard over the top part. So, and then I'll take the cape off again so we can see the neck a little bit. He's got the kind of turtleneck collar like the Riddler had. So, and then he's got the same sort of loafers that the Riddler had, only now obviously they're in black and got kind of a simplified skeleton pattern over them. Very simplified skeleton pattern. There's no toes or anything. It's just, kind of the suggestion that there's bones there. But it's the same kind of shoes that the Riddler has. So, yeah, this is definitely a repaint of the Riddler. I feel like I could say that quite authoritatively, even though I don't even have the Riddler figure yet. But when I do get my Riddler figure in, I'll take some pictures and show you the similarities between the two. You can see that it's the same body. I'm sure it's the same body. I'm like 99.9% sure this is just the Riddler from the neck down. Hi, Aunt June. How you doing? So yeah, that's Lord Deathman. Let's go ahead and have a look at him next to Batman himself, Adam West. That's the basic TV series version of Batman. So there's not like an actual Batman 66 comic book Batman. So you just use this one. Sleepy? Yeah, I know the feeling. Yeah, I just woke up not long ago myself, so I figured I'd go ahead and do this. I'm about to go run some errands once I get done shooting this. I had seen a video where a guy was doing a review of Lord Deathman, and he was speculating that he reused a lot of parts from Batman, and maybe the Riddler uses a lot of parts from Batman. So I'm going to go ahead and compare with Batman. Now, obviously, he is creepy. He's Lord Deathman. You don't have a guy calling himself Lord Deathman and he's not creepy. So obviously the shins are different because he doesn't have the bat boots. He's got the Riddler shoes. And the thighs actually do seem to be the same, and the pelvis as well. So the wrinkles in the trunks seem to be falling in the same place. I don't know how well that comes across on the camera. So the torso is different because he doesn't have the bat collar that Batman has. You know, where the cowl meets the cape and all that kind of stuff. So and it looks like they also share the same upper arms. So it's interesting that there's a lot of parts that would be shared between Batman and the Riddler and Lord Deathman. So because I guess, you know, it's close enough. Why bother sculpting, like, you know, new thighs and new upper arms for the Riddler if they're just going to look pretty much like the arms that Batman has anyway? So we might as well just reuse. Trying to stay awake. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had trouble sleeping last night. That's another thing I can relate to. I often have trouble sleeping myself. So, but yeah. So, but we're almost done with this episode. You can watch the rest of it later, since you know you came in late anyway. But I'm glad you showed up. So that's it's always nice to see you. So yeah, Lord Deathman, very cool villain. Very interesting history. A lot of connections, like I said, to the TV series, even though he didn't actually appear on the TV series. But yeah, he will definitely fit in with the rest of the Batman 66 villains. Let's see what I have in the lunchbox here. We can go ahead and have him into some of those. So here he is with the Joker, just so we can see. And of course, like I said, the Joker is the tallest figure that I've run across this line so far, and Lord Deathman is actually almost as tall as the Joker, and I think it's because of the neck articulation. Lord Deathman, yes, the neck articulation is somewhat higher on this figure. I think. I don't think the Riddler is going to be as tall as the Joker when we get them. And then there he is next to Egghead, so we can see him next to Egghead. And Catwoman, Eartha Kitt, Catwoman. So this is how they look together. And Mr. Freeze. See him next to Mr. Freeze. And probably most appropriately, let's have a look at Lord Deathman next to Two-Face. Since Two-Face is also based on the comic book. The Batman 66 comic book, that's as Two-Face appeared when he showed up in that. And that's Lord Deathman as he appeared in that comic book. So yeah, he's definitely a character that's had a cult following over the years. Like I said, I kind of feel like he's a character that would have somewhat faded into obscurity if it hadn't been for, like, you know, various people just discovering him at various times. I like Egghead too. He's one of my favorites. So, but yeah, it's like it seems like a lot of people, just a chain. His entire history is a chain of people, like, just finding some obscure appearance of his and being like, ooh, this is a cool character. I'm going to bring him back. So, but I think he's now popular enough. He can stick around on his own merits. But there actually is a variant of this figure that's a glow in the dark variant. That one is very hard to find. I keep seeing him selling on various online retailers for like $100 or more. So that's too rich for my blood. I will not be buying the glow in the dark version of Lord Deathman. I will just be content with the basic version. I'm trying to get a little bit another shot of that face. I love the way that they did the teeth. It's very similar, just these kind of little dots to suggest the teeth, like almost like it's less like a real skull and more like just kind of like some kind of spandex mask that's supposed to look like a skull, which of course that's what it was in the first appearance. But you know, he gets a little more ghoulish in some of the other appearances. When he shows up in the Batman Incorporated comic, like his head's drawn to look like a very realistic skull with a lot of realistic skull detailing. And personally, I prefer it to be like a little more like this, where it's kind of a little more cartoonish. So yeah, that's pretty much it for Lord Deathman. I thank you for tuning in and watching this with me. So tomorrow, I'm going to do something out of this stack, because I got a lot of figures here I got to get to. I just got from Amazon, I got an Ocean Master figure from the Page Punchers line. So we'll be opening that up. We got Black Manta on the way from the Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom movie line. This is the only figure I picked up from the movie line so far. I'll probably get like a basic Aquaman if I can, and I would like to get Storm so that Aquaman can have his seahorse to ride around on. So that's cool. We got the Nightfall Nightwing. Got that coming up. See, Nightfall, and that's a neat looking figure. So I'm looking forward to Nightwing. But I think tomorrow what I'm going to do is going to be the Return of Superman, which I've been sitting on this figure for a while because I've been doing all these Batman 66 figures. So I think we're gonna do him tomorrow. I think tomorrow we're gonna open up the Return of Superman, and that's actually gonna be a double feature because I've got the variant figure for that as well. So that should be fun. So, and if you want to make sure that you catch that episode, best thing you can do is like and subscribe on Fun YouTube stuff down below. Leave a comment. Let me know what you think. If you wanna be cool like my Aunt June and make sure that you catch it when it goes live, hit the little bell and that'll warn you anytime I go live. And you can join in with the chat and talk with me while I actually unbox the action figures. So, but yeah, I've been looking forward to these for a while. This is Return of Superman. I don't know if you can really see through the package, but he's got that 90s mullet. So looking forward to that. Anyway, that's pretty much it for this episode. We will talk to you next time. Goodbye.